Filipino martial arts. I actually did not know until the research on this subject that the Philippines has their own style of martial arts, also known as Arnis, Eskrima, or Kali. It's a diverse range of traditional martial art systems that originated in the Philippines. These arts have a rich history and are known for their practicality, adaptability, and weapons training. Some of the key aspects of Filipino martial arts are Arnis. The term Arnis is often used to refer to the martial art in the northern regions of the Philippines. Eskrima, the term is commonly used in the central and southern Philippines. Kali, often used as an umbrella term for these martial art, especially in the West. FMA, Filipino martial arts, is notable for its emphasis on weapons training, including sticks, knives, and bladed weapons. FMA often addresses scenarios involving multiple opponents. Techniques focus on efficiently to deal with real world combat situations. Now, when I went to go visit Dumaguete, right on the boardwalk there was a bunch of people, a lot of them were kids, with certain equipment like training tools such as rattan sticks, training knives, and padded sticks to safely simulate what they were actually doing. So watch the film, the video, tell me what you think, and I'll catch you on the back end with some remarks.
Filipino martial arts, FMA, in Filipino. Signing Panlaban ng Pilipinas, refer to ancient and newer modified fighting methods devised in the Philippines. It incorporates elements from both Western and Eastern martial arts, the most popular forms of which are known as Arnis, Eskrima, and Kali. The intrinsic need for self-preservation was the genesis of these systems. Throughout the ages, invaders and evolving local conflict imposed new dynamics for combat in the islands now making up the Philippines. The Filipino people developed battle skills as a direct result of an appreciation of their ever-changing circumstances. They learned often out of necessity how to prioritize, allocate and use common resources in combative situations. Filipinos have been heavily influenced by a phenomenon of cultural and linguistic mixture. Some of the specific mechanisms responsible for cultural and martial change extended from phenomena such as war, political and social systems, technology, trade and practicality. There have been numerous scholarly calls on the inclusion of the many martial arts of the Philippines into the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage lists. As of 2019, a total of 9 elements scattered in 8 countries, such as Thailand, Georgia, and Korea, have successfully inscribed their martial arts in the UNESCO list. In the 12th century, martial arts influence from the Indonesian martial arts culture reached the islands. At this time, the islands also had culture influences from Cambodia and Thailand. A native martial arts called Arnis de Mano started to exist by the 14th century. Arnis is characterized as saber play that uses a pair of rattan canes or short wooden canes. Ancient Filipinos were considered skilled in dagger and the broadsword before the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. Silat is another native martial art of the Philippines. It uses daggers and sabers. Silat was popular among the royal families of the south and Muslim area of the country. There are also fighting systems such as Sikaran and Kunta. Kunta is considered on the verge of being extinct. Sikaran is an old style that is popular in the areas around Manila. The competition of Sikaran involved 2 teams or individuals in the area of a rice paddy in the time of dry season. Today there are said to be almost as many Filipino fighting styles as there are islands in the Philippines. In 1972, the Philippine government included Filipino martial arts into the national sports arena. The Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports also incorporated them into the physical education curriculum for high school and college students. The Task Force on School Sports, TFSS, headed by Mr. Feliciano Toledo, asked Richard Gialogo and John Loda to conduct national, regional and provincial seminar workshops all over the Philippines under the auspices of the Philippine government. This resulted to the inclusion of Arnis in the Palarong Pambansa National Games in 2006. The efforts of the two and Senator Miguel Zubiri resulted in Arnis being declared as the national martial art and sport of the Philippines by virtue of Republic Act 9850, which was signed into law in 2009. Knowledge of the Filipino fighting skills is mandatory in the Philippine military and police. Filipino martial arts are considered the most advanced practical modern blade system in the world and are now a core component of the U.S. Army's Modern Army Combatives program, and used by the Russian Spetsnaz, Special Forces. The Government of India used Filipino martial arts to train their Indian Special Forces, of Indian Army, National Security Guard, Marcos of Indian Navy and Commandos of Central Armed Police Forces. Filipino martial artists are noted for their ability to fight with weapons or empty hands interchangeably and their ability to turn ordinary household items into lethal weapons. Weapons training takes precedence because they give an edge in real fights, gears students to psychologically face armed opponents. And any object that can be picked up can be used as a weapon using FMA techniques. Empty hand training techniques are translated from the use of the daga, dagger, or baston, stick. Another thing to note is that the Philippines is a blade culture. The southern Philippines with the Moros were never really conquered by the Spaniards or the Americans, nor the northern mountains of Luzon with their feared headhunter tribes, so they kept their weapons and their fighting skills. For the more Christianized provinces and the towns where citizens had been disarmed, bolos, a cutting tool similar to the machete, and other knife variants are still commonly used for general work, farming in the provinces, chopping wood, coconuts, controlling talaheap, swordgrass, which could grow higher than roofs if not cut, etc., and the occasional bloody fight. Production of these weapons still survives and there are a few who still make some. In the province of Aklan, talibongs are still being made in the remote areas. Until the 80s, balisong knives were still commonly used in the streets of Manila as general-purpose pocket knives, much like Swiss Army knives or box cutters, until new laws on allowable kinds of knives made it illegal to carry them in public without a permit or proof that it was vital to one's livelihood, e.g. martial arts instructor, vendor. They're still openly sold in their birthplace of Batangas, in the streets of Quiapo, souvenir shops and martial arts stores, wielded by practitioners and street gangs. Thus, even when fighting systems were outlawed by the Spaniards, Filipinos still maintained their centuries-old relationships with blades and blade fighting techniques that survive from ancient times, and are still much alive as they have been adapted and evolved to stay relevant and practical in colonial and modern times. Traditional weaponry varies in design, size, weight, materials, and the way these weapons are used. But because of similar techniques, Filipinos can use any object and turned into a weapon by a Filipino martial artist as a force multiplier. Here are the Philippines' top self-defense martial arts. Silat is an indigenous martial art which originated in different parts of Southeast Asia, most especially in Indonesia. As a combat fighting technique with bone-crushing strength, lightning-fast takedowns, and some of the most terrifying weapons ever invented, Silat has gained popularity not only in the world but also in the Philippines. In the Philippines, Silat is thought to some police and military groups. In fact, there was one famous incident when a policewoman apprehended a criminal who tried to take her gun and escape using Silat. Taekwondo. Here is one martial art from Korea you do not want to mess with. Taekwondo puts powerful emphasis on footwork and legwork. Because of its graceful, flowing movements and deadly techniques, and its influence on Filipino martial artists. Judo. A fighting art refined by the Japanese, judo means gentle way, and is a 1-pound system and ground of pins and takedowns that you do not want to mess with. Due to its stress on technique, not on strength, it is very likely a smaller man can disarm a stronger one. Now, that is scary, isn't it? However, it takes hard work to be capable, like the majority of sports. Muay Thai. As Thailand's well-regarded national sport, this fighting method has, in fact, come a long way. Loads of Filipinos have witnessed the prowess and ferocity of this martial art, called as the art of 8 limbs. Because it employs 8 striking styles in the fighter's arsenal, mixed with knees, elbows, fists, and feet. Karate. The popularity of karate with movies like The Karate Kid has reached the different corners of the world, especially the Philippines. Just from the name of the art alone, karate, especially the Shotokan karate taught by the Japanese Karate Association, are everywhere in the Philippines. With its arsenal of punches, kicks, elbows, knees and other empty hand techniques, there is no doubt that karate is one of the most formidable self-defense martial arts in the world. In fact, it is taught in the police and military force in the Philippines. Karate tournaments are held at various times throughout the year. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Enthusiastic mixed martial arts fans have witnessed the devastating power of BJJ in such artists as BJ Penn, Brandon, The Truth, Vera, and George Street Pierre, who just retired. You cannot get as striking as seeing how extreme these masters of the takedown are. Krav Maga. How can the #1 self-defense martial arts in the world not make this list? Krav Maga is hands down the most intense fighting style most of us have ever seen. Still, its reach to Filipino martial artists is quite significant. It's been taught not only to civilians and athletes but also to some police and military groups. Getting the best out of different martial arts and fine-tuning it into a purely combative and self-defense system, Krav Maga has a different mentality: kill or be killed. Arnis. Arnis is a distinctly Filipino art, and there is a long list of Filipino martial arts schools in the country. It's a spin-off of the bolo and knife fighting and uses the stick as the primary weapon. Among the very popular Arnis styles include Balintawak Eskrima, Dose Pares Eskrima, Modern Arnis, etc. What makes this form of self-defense extreme is that you will not even require those sticks or any force weapon to defend yourself with an attacker's onslaught. You can use secondary weapons or any weapon in your environment that you use as a substitute for the stick. Filipino martial arts history is long and bloody, and the country has always depended on its own art to defend against its enemies. Ultimately, you'd end up fighting using your bare hands, and the weapon-based principles can be transferred to the bare hands.
As I was researching this subject matter on Filipino martial arts, I was really intrigued with the weapon-based martial art techniques that they teach. One distinguishing feature of Filipino martial arts actually emphasizes on weapons training. People that train often begin by learning techniques with sticks, knives, and other bladed objects before progressing to empty hand techniques. When I was out in Dumaguete and I was out watching these people, they actually practice with these sticks and rubber knives. While the FMA is known for its weapons training, it also includes really good training with empty hand techniques. So these techniques often involve striking, trapping, joint locks, and grappling. Filipino martial arts have gained a lot of international recognition for their effectiveness and adaptability. They continue to evolve with people training and blending traditional techniques with modern concepts to create a dynamic and practical martial arts system. I can tell you, I will be on the lookout and watching these people train. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please, please, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can be ready for the next video that's coming your way. Again, talk to you soon and be safe.